Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire. And we are on the move again with Paige and Marsh. Paige, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Casey. Thanks.
So how things out in your neck of the woods this so far this year? You got moisture, guys planting, all that fun stuff going on?
Yeah, I think guys are just starting to think about getting in the field, but not too much moisture. We're expecting some rain this weekend, but otherwise it's been pretty dry.
Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat. We've got a lot of wind right now, an unseasonably amount of wind, and we need rain to be dry. So that shows you kind of how bad things are out here. So plugging along, making things happen. It's that time of the year, though, and if it wasn't spring, what else would we talk about than the weather, right? So just keeping things moving. So this week's guest, we have Clint Berardi here with us from Axon. He's the field rep for the central part of the territory there. So, Clint, how you doing, man?
Good, Casey. Good to see you. Thanks for having us on again.
Yep. So what are you seeing out there right now, Clint, as you drive around? What are some of the stuff that's popping up out there at you?
Well, it's been, in, the upper Midwest areas that I mainly cover, it's kind of been a slow start to this spring. I've just spent the last couple days in Indiana and Illinois, and hardly a wheel's turned, really, at least in the northern part of those states.
Yep.
I know guys are getting anxious to go. Some of the bigger guys have started a little bit, but some rains have slowed them back down again, it looks like, until end of this weekend probably. And I know it's everyone's starting to breathe heavy now. It's go time, and the April 15th, start date and the crop insurance date, it's kind of everything's feels like it's going to cut loose and everybody's going to be going all at once. So,
yeah, that's typically how it works. It's never an easy start. It's all hands on deck, takeoff, running, everybody going at the same time. So it's a Chinese fire drill for the most part. It feels like, everyone's at a stoplight, jumping out, going to run around and see what happens. So, Paige, as you look what's going on with Axon right now, talk a little bit about what you see happening out there and what's some of the volume that you're seeing going right now. Like, I know we've had some issues with getting supply and those kind of things, but as you take a look overall, what's your feel right now?
Yeah. We're starting to get inventory in, I think, from past orders, but inventory's been hard. I mean, that's been the story of the season. And I think Clint can probably talk a little bit more about this, but as far as volume, we're getting inventory in and out. What do you think, Clint?
Yeah, it's just been, the typical order point of, our local products would be, everything from a next day pickup to 2 weeks now to a month. And then your overseas or container shipment stuff is where 60 to 90 days is now, 180 plus days. So it's just managing, we used to buy for spring, in the wintertime, when you buy for fall in the summer, and you've got to be 3 months ahead of that now. And then the difficulty is just trying to forecast that, working with our dealer customers, asking them, what do you guys think you're going to need? What are you looking at for this year? And, it's tough for them to get guys to make a decision until they know what the crop's going to look like. And I mean, you're well aware of it. Just that managing the buying cycles is a whole new ball game now, and trying to stay on that. And, and if you have the inventory, you can sell it right now. There's no question about that. So it's just keeping, in front of that and managing it best you can.
Yep. I worked with, is it Jim Gordon? Does that sound right?
Jim Godrin.
Yeah. So I worked with him on trying to find some floater tires for a guy. And man, we went through, talk about a guy that really understands what's going on with tire business. This guy was spot on with everything I needed to have done. But we did a pretty good dance there where he'd have the rims but not the tires, and the tires and not the rims. And we finally found a combination that worked. And I said, "That's great. I'll take him," because it was getting to the point where, and there weren't that many. And that's kind of what we're seeing on the tractor side of it is that you've got to make some decisions pretty fast, because as this inventory stuff comes in, I think this tires and rims that I got, there were 3 sets of tires and rims in the entire company across all your locations there. So I had to make a quick decision, but I'm sure that's pretty spot on for everything else that you're working with too, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's especially the popular sizes, the big movers that the OEMs use a lot of, and it's just when that stuff comes in, it goes right back out again, and you're allotments or allocation numbers are a lot smaller than they used to be. So most of it's sold by the time it arrives. And so, it's just pushing guys to, hey, if you're serious, or your customer's serious, they need to make a decision. And while we still have it, and also the price increases, we've got a list of most of our vendors. May 1st are taking, at least a lot of them double digit or higher price increases again. And so, it's just not only it's, deciding how bad you need it and then being able to make a quick decision if you really want it. So,
it is, things are really, really tight. So as you look at kind of going out through the rest of the year, are you hearing anything from your suppliers that show things are getting better? It feels like to me, as we take a look at what's going on, all the vendors that we work with, it's not so much, it's more of a combination of everything. Now, it used to be where it was, they're waiting for a specific part to show up to make, some little component to show up to make things work. Now it's a component issue. It's a freight issue. It's a logistics issue. It's all kinds of things that are kind of falling into one here that it kind of feels like in some cases it's getting worse before it's getting better. You feeling something similar like that in your guys' business?
I would say that a lot of things, in our case, what we're hearing is raw materials is being a big thing, the steel cabling in your tracks. And, then Firestone had a big issue here a couple weeks ago. That was a hacking situation that shut down their plant. They were already getting tough, and that's just put a big damper on it. And so, it's just, it's sort of, I hate to say the new normal, but it's figuring out how to deal with what you've got and looking ahead. If you think you're going to need it, it's make the decision, because the days of finding stuff last minute are far and few between now.
Yeah. I don't think you got to plan out everything now well in advance if you're going to even get in the game and play. All right, so we are, like we talked about here, we're kind of in the middle of the beginning of playing season. We got a lot of different stuff going on. Clint, when you're working with your clients, you're talking to them about the planning situations out there, especially with the amount of high-speed planners that are out there now and the amount of weight that's going, 8 to 10 to 12 miles an hour compared to 4 to 6 miles an hour, something like that beforehand. As you take a look at this now, how has that changed the game when you start looking at tires and compaction to what we used to see?
Well, there's no question we're seeing a big transfer or trend to radial tires, especially on the pull type equipment. New planners. I just was working with a dealer here in Iowa last week on a new field cultivator, and it happened to ship out with mismatched tires just so they could get it out the door. But the entire machine, both the undercarriage, the main frame and all the wing tires were all radials now. So that's good to see. And then planners, we're seeing going that way steadily as well. They're able to carry, the weight and the speed out of the lower air pressure and less compaction. And as you're talking some of these planners, I had a guy tell me the other day a 90-foot high-speed planner. I think he said list price was over $700,000. So, you should be able to up the technology and put some good rubber on it for that, I would think too. So
you would think so. Yeah, that'd make a big difference. When you're looking at, so that was going to be one of my next questions. You look at the implement tires and stuff that go on there, like you said, that transition from a bias to a radial tire and what that looks like, and the weight that you talked about here. That's a good example. The 90-foot planner, that might not necessarily be the norm, but there's a lot of 60-foot planners and 40-foot planners running around out there that are high-speed planners. As you take a look at those implement tires, when are you making that decision when you're talking with a customer? Like, when are you making that decision to transfer from that bias tire to a radial tire?
Well, it really, it can start with an option right from new. As you know, on the equipment side, you likely can order it with either. We're seeing more guys opt to go that way. And the tire manufacturers have been good recently to build, replacement size tires that can go on the same rim. So, your standard 11L15 or your 12.5L15, you can get a radial implement and reuse your exact same wheel. And it's going to be the same dimensions and rolling circumferences. If you have a ground drive implement or something like that, it's not going to throw off, your planning population if it might be on a planner or whatever. So that's been a good thing that the manufacturer and the tire side have kind of kept and made it, largely an OEM replacement, a direct replacement. So, but yeah, I mean, if you've got an older planner and you're looking, you might need to replace tires soon. There's an option likely to go to a radial. And then if you're looking at new planners, we encourage everybody to definitely look at, the radial options and anything you can do to, lower your air pressure and be just cognizant and aware of what soil compaction savings you can make.
Yeah. What kind of stories are you hearing about guys that have done a planner upgrade, for example? They've taken it from a what I like to call a precision donor to up and created that into a high speed planner. What kind of situations are you seeing there where tires are coming into play?
It's all been positive. Some guys have been, really dug into it where they've got down to study the yield maps, especially like on corn acres. And it's been all positive that we're aware of. I haven't heard of any negative feedback from anybody that we've gone through this with. And we've done everything from, even a retrofit a kit that, wasn't even an OE size and went to a larger option that we were able to make work and installed an air inflation kit on it to where he was able to lower. Initially, this planner that comes to mind had, a radial truck tire on the main frame. It was a DB series bar. And we went to a larger radial tire, off-highway tire, an Alliance product. And he was able, on the truck tires, he was having to run about 120 PSI to carry the weight in each tire. And then by switching to these Alliance tires, we were able to get him down to about 52 PSI on the road. And then when he got to the field, he could drop it down to about 24 PSI.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, you're talking a quarter of the air pressure, or more. He was able to run safely. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to become more of a thing as time goes on and this equipment gets, like you say, we're talking these high-speed planners and guys getting over acres. I mean, and not only is it better for soil compaction, it's more stubble resistant. They don't get as hot if you've got to do a lot of roading. Radial's built to flex like a car or pickup tire. They're built to move with the road. They're not going to build up the heat. And so there's just a lot of good things to go. And a lot of them, the money difference isn't huge either. So it's almost a win-win or, a no-brainer decision when it comes time to do it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I have noticed about Axon here lately, especially is a lot of your social media posts that you put out are a lot of very unique situations when you start looking at the tires that you're putting out there and what that looks like. So Clint, like for example, I put up 100 floaters on a 616R, which I mean, that's not a big deal, but there's a lot of those very specialized situations that pop up. Paige and Clint, both of you, talk a little bit about the engineering that goes on with the back office folks, if you will, when you start talking about the support you're going to get from Axon when it comes to these specialized sets of tires.
Paige, go ahead. You're on the social media side of it, so you can start off with this one.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, the guys out in the field, they find all of these different unique setups, and they send them to me, but sometimes they'll consult with Neil, our sales engineer, who's going to be on in a couple of episodes, and he'll talk a little bit more about what happens behind the scenes. But if you need a custom wheel on a certain setup, then they'll go ahead and do that. And yeah.
Right on. Clint, what's your experience with that when you're working with your customers on trying to find that right setup that may be a little bit one-off when you're talking with your people there?
I guess I like to just, when guys are running into that situation, it's nice to be a resource, to have somebody that, look, you handle getting the tractor and the implements or the equipment side of it. we'll handle or give you, an A, B, or C option if that's what you want, or we'll give you, we'll make suggestions and just take the tire and wheel part of it off of their shoulders and let them do what they like to do. So, but yeah, I mean, if it's, and we've done a lot of, alternative, things with, I know one of our guys sold a set of tires recently for a drag strip tractor. I mean, not an application that you think of every day, but this tractor is going to be going up, cleaning or drying out, drag strips. And so that's what that's where we really, I think where our team as a whole really shines is, we can help you with the everyday, changeover and stuff. But when you get into those situations where, I don't understand what I need here, I need some help. This is outside of the normal, OE options. Just we like to, hear a little bit from what you have, what you're trying to get to, and then we'll put the solutions together. And then we've got the ability in house, to custom build our own wheels and offsets, and so we can, fit that, whether it be a special row crop spacing for strawberries or it be a drag strip tractor and
drag strip tractor, yeah,
in the middle of the city somewhere. So yeah.
That's quite the range there. Strawberries and drag strips. You can it kind of gets everything, I think, in the middle of that. So, all right, Paige, this is my favorite part of the show. Folks want to you gave away a T-shirt and Firestone T-shirt and a digital tire pressure gauge last month. What's this month's giveaway?
Yep, this month the giveaway is an Alliance baseball cap, and I wish I had one here to show you, but it's actually really cool. So everyone should get their orders in, and to order your baseball cap, you just have to email your first name and then address to marketing@axontire.com, and we will get one sent out to you guys.
That's awesome. So now you got a T-shirt, you got a baseball hat to go with the T-shirt. That'll be before you give away jeans the next month. They have a whole ensemble that way. See?
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. Well, that's good stuff, man. Well, Paige, final thoughts as we close the podcast down.
Yeah, I would say if you guys need any last minute spring planting orders, go ahead and get in touch with one of us today. If you're in the central region, get in touch with Clint, and we have client advisors for everyone outside of the central territories as well. So just get your orders in if you can.
Yeah, just go to Clint. Last thoughts for you as we shut things down.
Yeah, just I would say, like I said, we've already talked about look ahead. If you normally we're making decisions 2 to 3 months. I know just quickly in talking to a couple of the CAD and planner salesman guys, they expect a quick early order program again this year to be open and close quickly. And so with that in mind, things are going to, continue to be revolving around that through the end of the year. And, just be looking at, instead of one season ahead, 2 to 3 seasons ahead for what you think you might need.
Absolutely. Cool. So Clint, folks want to reach out to you. What's the best way to get hold of you?
My email usually, because I'm on the road and in and out of seeing customers, usually 3 to 4 days a week, but you can email me directly at clint.berardi, BERARDI at axontire.com.
And Paige, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yep. It's going to be paige.marsh@axontire.com.
Right on. Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Yep. Thanks
a lot, Casey.
I'm Casey Seymour. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you find the latest editions of the Moving Iron Podcast. Also go to the LinkedIn page that I have set up, the Moving Iron Podcast LinkedIn page. Also check out the Moving Iron Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see what Clint and Paige look like. Great place to go check it out because all the videos are up there as well. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Paige and Clint. Let's go Moving Iron, folks. Out.